Everybody, it's my pleasure to welcome everybody to the Thursday, December 11th, 2025 open meeting of the Guelph Police Service. I'd like to start off with our territorial acknowledgement. And as we gather, let us take time to reflect on our privilege to live and work in Guelph, a city built over rich Indigenous histories. We are guests here, and we should reflect upon the responsibility to care for this land, the people who live here today, and the generations to come. If our actions today can move us towards reconciliation, we should take pause and make those decisions with intention and gratitude. This place we call Guelph has served as the traditional lands and a place of refuge for many peoples over time, but more specifically the Attawandarunk and the Haudenosaunee. This land is held as the treaty lands and territory with the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. Guelph lies directly adjacent to Haldimand Tract and is part of a long-established traditional hunting ground for the Six Nations of the Grand River. Many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples who have come from across Turtle Island call Guelph home today. I'd like to start by asking if there are any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflicts of Interest Act. Hearing none, I'll declare that item closed. And I'm looking for if we have a resolution for the community fund. Mr. Sharma, I believe there's a motion to coming forward to make a donation to the Cops and Kids campaign. I believe it was in the amount of $2,000, was it not?
It was 1,000?
Sorry, 1,000. Do I have a mover for that? Moved by Councillor Alt and seconded by Mr. Sharma. All in favor? Anybody opposed? Hearing none, I'll declare that item carried. Our next item is a presentation, and I'd like to welcome David Lee, the Manager of Campus Safety Office at the University of Guelph. Please note that this is the 10th time that Mr. Lee has presented to the board, and he's giving us an update on the Guelph Campus Safety Office and their annual report. Good afternoon, Mr. Lee. Sorry, you're still muted.
There we go. I had unmuted, but anyway, afternoon, and thanks for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the Police Services Board and everyone watching about what happens at the University of Guelph in terms of our Campus Safety Office. Just a very brief overview. The Campus Safety Office used to be known as the Campus Police, for those of you that have been around a long time. Started in 1967, and it has been on uninterrupted service since then here on the campus. In terms of workers that we have here, I've got 16 frontline staff, over 4 shifts, 1 sergeant per shift, and 3 constables per shift. So 4 on a shift, a sergeant, 3 constables. 4 shifts, 12-hour rotation, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We also have a full-time dispatch chair. That seat never goes cold. There's always someone sitting in our dispatch seat. So we run a service that never shuts down. Our front door is always open. We get our authority, for those of you who aren't aware, get our authority through the Guelph Police Services Board. We're sworn in as special constables that have some police powers, very limited police powers, that are prescribed by the Guelph Police Services Board to do certain things on campus. So when we don't have these authorities when we cross the sidewalk. As long as we're on the campus, the educational part of the campus, we have our powers. And similar to policing is that we go through a recruiting process, just like Guelph Police, to recruit our new officers that come in, and we follow the almost exactly the same recruiting process in terms of steps that a police service would take, including a psychological test, background investigation, things like that. Unfortunately, once we do that and we have someone who passes all the inspections and is actually sworn by your board, that makes them look very attractive to police services around the province as new constables. So we're aware of that as well, but we still hire the best we can hire, and we have them sworn in by your police services board. Our authorities are common authorities, are the common things that we do in terms of the law are under the Highway Traffic Act, the Liquor License Act, Trespass to Property Act. Those are our big three. We also deal with Mental Health Act issues, the Safe Streets Act. And in terms of criminal activity, we are peace officers under the Criminal Code, Section 2. We can arrest, we can detain, we can release, we can collect evidence, we can store evidence, we can present evidence, just like any peace officer in Canada can. So we have that authority given to us by the Police Services Board, and it's been that way from the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, our jurisdiction here is sidewalk to sidewalk. So where our campus, part of the campus that's controlled by our board, the university board, that's the area that we have our authority in. And that's spelled out in the in our appointments done by your Police Services Board. We also have a memorandum of understanding in place with the Guelph Police Services Board between the university and your board that describe our responsibilities in terms of who investigates, who handles what type of call. Basically, the serious calls are handled by Guelph Police, and the less serious or minor calls are handled by us. And that's it's actually spelled out exactly what is handled by the police and what's handled by the special constables. And we don't seem to have any trouble, never had any trouble deciding who does what. It works out very well. What we also have here is an emergency manager who works closely with Mr. Eric Lucko with the city. So our emergency manager works with Eric to make sure that we're managing emergency, planning for emergencies the same way that the city does, using the same methodologies and the same templates. So if something happens bad here on campus, like really bad, the emergency management system would come in from the city to take over. We and my officers know that they would back away, be outside security, outside support, and allow the city to manage the emergency. Something that's very minor, well, to us it wouldn't be minor, something like a major flood in a building with experiments that are in jeopardy, something that we can manage. We'll invoke our emergency management system and all hands on deck, and we'll take care of it. So we do have the emergency management system here. Fire prevention as well, but that's not part of this agreement with the board. One of the things I'd like to talk about before I get into some stats, a couple of things I want to talk about, is our success in what's called the Officer in Residence Program. Something you would think is commonplace, should be anyways, where we have a special constable assigned to a particular residence. So each residence has one officer that becomes their community, basically a community police officer in terms of police terms. So it's the go-to person for things for that residence. Not emergency calls. Who's ever working will go to a call at any residence. But if there's a question by a resident or a staff member who works in that residence about something to do with CSO, they could reach out to this assigned officer to get specific information. The reason I say that it's sort of new again is because COVID knocked a hole in it. Everything kind of stopped with COVID, and we've rejuvenated that program. It took us a year to get it going and get all the rules in place. And we work very closely with our the management team of our residences. That's run by Director Pat Kelly. And we work with his staff to make sure that we're teamed up, one of my staff, one of his staff, and we deal with specific residence issues. I'm going to comment on why I think that's paid dividends already later on when I get to the stats. So Officer in Residence Program is a big success for us, and we're always looking to improve it. The other thing we do very well here on this campus is our bicycle patrol unit. So bicycle patrol, to many people, they say, well, the cops get on a bike and ride around. Well, there's more to it than that. There's a whole training regiment for it. There's a number of different agencies you can go under, but here, a lot of North America use the IPMBA standard of training. IPMBA is the International Police Mountain Bike Association, IMPBA. And we are so committed to this that currently the president of that association, based out of Texas, is one of my officers. So my officer is an expert on police bike training, and we've trained a number of police officers. We also train anyone in the area that wants to drive here from different jurisdictions, including some from Guelph Police, from EMS, fire, bylaw, all kinds of people. OPP come here to take our course. So that's something we do quite well here on campus. I'm very proud of that. And with my policing background, I can tell you that police bike deployment in some settings, in some communities, is extremely effective. Not only community relations, talking to an officer on a bike is kind of, people don't mind it at all versus sitting in a cruiser, but it also allows officers to get in places quickly, especially at nighttime and in areas where sometimes there's high levels of criminal activity. So our bicycle unit does a great job, and I can tell you the officers love getting out on the bike on a beautiful day. And they have all the proper equipment, all police standard equipment to do that. They also have some cold weather equipment so they can ride up to freeze up. They can get out there and continue to ride. One of my things I established right away when I got here, it's still going, and we have a great track record with it. It's the Campus Safety Auxiliary Unit. So what we do in terms of experiential learning here on campus, there's all kinds of departments on campus do this. I'm just one of them. As we look for opportunities for students, what can we offer them to maybe help them in their career afterwards? So we have a great program here, the CJPP, Criminal Justice Public Policy Program here, one of our largest cohorts. And we work with the faculty there to identify students who want to become police officers. And we interview them, and we pick 4. There's a number that applies, 50 or 60 every year that apply. We pick 4 through an interview, and we allow them to volunteer with us. They come into our office, they see what we do, they ride along with us. We make them do certain public presentations and watch them, assess them, help them, develop them. So when it comes time for them to apply, hopefully to Guelph Police, as we always say to them, then they've been assessed by people that are former police officers, and in one case, a former recruiter for a police officer who knows exactly what police are looking for. And we try and help our people get along in their career, along the career path that they've chosen. So more than half of our auxiliaries have been hired by police or in the law enforcement field. So that's a great success story for us. Something that's quite interesting too with us is we have an app, a safety app. A lot of schools have it. We call it Safe Griffin app. It's like your personalized safety app in your pocket. So you load it on your phone. We've had it for a few years. We're always updating, always changing. We've got one officer now assigned to being our officer that updates the public messaging on the top banner. If anyone has their phone with them and has never heard of it before, it's a free app, Safe Griffin. Download it, take a look, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And we're always looking for change. The things we're changing right now, that we're trying to change right now, we're right in the middle of it. Emails this morning, making it available internationally in case we have someone that needs to reach out to the campus and they're in a kind of a tough situation somewhere overseas, which we just had an exact situation 2 weeks ago. And we're rejigging Safe Griffin so it'll work from overseas at no cost, hopefully. We still haven't gotten that far yet, but we're working with the developer to make that happen. Originally a Canadian invention, Safe Griffin, and it's since been bought and sold, and I'm not sure where it sits now. But so we're working on making it a truly international piece of safety, personal safety. I can get into that. What I was going to do now was get into the statistics and give you a sort of an overview of how the year went. Should we pause for any questions, or should I just dive right into that?
Does anybody have any questions or comments? So hearing none, I'm going to just continue on, Mr.
Yep.
Lee.
Okay. Top 5 calls for service, the same ones every year. Assist services, and what that is we can be assisting Guelph Police, we can be assisting anyone in on the campus environment, which is what we're here for. We're here to make the campus safer. We're here to help people a better learning environment, better living environment. Members of the public come here, they use our facility. We want it to be safe for them, welcoming for them. So the number one call for us, for my officers, are to assist other departments and do their thing. So that's good to see. Medical calls are big for us. Hockey arena injuries, soccer field knee twists, people cutting themselves with knives in different areas on campus because of the different work that they do here on campus. And one number that's creeping up higher than what we'd like to see is their suspicious persons. So most of them are turn out not to be, but it's what we're trying to do, encourage our people who live and work here. If something happens and something's making you uncomfortable, if something's making you feel not safe, call us. Don't sit and think, will I look stupid? Should I? Call us. We'll determine what really the issue is. And in most cases, it's nothing. It turns out to be completely legitimate. But the suspicious person numbers have climbed, which is okay as far as I'm concerned. It doesn't mean we have more suspicious people. It just means we're getting called more for that reason. Our busiest season is, of course, fall, September, October, November. It remains our busiest season, always will be. That's, again, this year, 10 years in a row, same thing. Our calls for service, the dispatch, when the phone rings, they climbed 3% over last year, and they keep climbing year after year after year. I see that as a good thing, too. People are calling us. They're not hemming and hawing. And what I do like, too, when they call us, that to me tells me that they trust us. They think we can actually do something. It's not just, well, last resort, I'm going to call the campus safety officer. No, they're calling. Can you point me in the right direction? Can you help me with this? Or there is truly an emergency going on. I was going to get into the foot patrols and the break-ins and all that stuff. And one of the things I want to say first was we have some pretty sharp cookies here in my staff. And one of our problems in our deployment is that we are going to a lot of false alarms on campus. So in 2022, 2023, we went to 736 alarms, and the majority of those were false. 736, that's 2 a day. The majority of them are false. So one of the young officers got digging into it, and we've done some checking with some of these false alarms, follow-ups, and return phone calls back and forth. We actually found that 12 of those alarms were repeatedly ringing that were attached to nothing. They're old experimental alarms to freezers and things like that were no longer freezing anything and weren't being used for anything, but the alarm had not been disconnected. So what I wanted to do was reduce the number of false alarms we were going to, which we've done. So between 2022 to 2024, we've dropped almost 300. So we're now down to 469 last year, which frees up our officers to do other things, so not running to false alarms now. Then we will keep our foot on the gas on that, keep looking for even more false alarms so we can whittle that number down. We will always go to alarm. We always send 2 people. And it's happening less and less, which is a great thing. And then I looked right down to my proactive foot patrol, and it has dropped in 2022. This year, it's better than it was last year, but still not back to where I wanted. But it's showing me that because we're now cutting back the false alarms, we now have more time to do foot patrol. Foot patrol, bicycle patrol, in my estimation, is one of the best proactive things we can do. That coupled with our officer and residence program, where the officer and a different partner, different days, will wander into a residence or be down in the front foyer or be seen. We get all kinds of chatter and great conversation with students about what's going on, or they'll mention something that they saw somewhere that might help with an investigation or might not, but at least there's open dialogue with the community and people feel comfortable. They'll walk right by the officer without even giving them a look because it's commonplace. That's fine too. That's what we want. So our foot patrol and everything is going back up. Hopefully this time next year, I'll be able to tell you it's gone up even higher. That's what we're shooting for. In terms of Criminal Code of Canada, our biggest sort of win for last year is our break and enters dropped. They plummeted. And I'm going to take credit for it. I don't know. There's no way of knowing, but I'm going to say that it's our increased foot patrol and our officer residency program. It's increased visibility. That's really what it comes down to. So we're out there more and we're being seen. Now, the break and enters are usually not, almost never. I can't even think of one now that I'm saying it. They're thefts from our construction sites and things like that, where people know how to get into a locked cabinet and take things of value very quickly, almost like they know exactly what they're doing and what they're looking for. So We have a lot less of those now, and I'm attributing that to the more frequent foot patrols that we have and bicycle patrols that we have that are targeting those areas where we know get hit. So it could be because of that. You just don't know. I am going to say, it's a win this year. Our mischiefs have dropped, and I'm going to credit Pat Kelly and his folks and residents, because mischiefs, just little broken door frames or a window that's cracked or something like that, just small things, has increased the increased work with the officer and residence program and his residents folks. They're really dialed in to keeping their living spaces safe, and so they're highly visibility again, and so our mischiefs have dropped. Sad story, our theft under the small things have increased. These are things like laptops, bikes, wallets, backpacks, things that are left insecure. Somebody's studying in the library, gets up from their laptop, goes to the washroom, comes back, laptop's gone. Should they close it down? Should they lock it up? Yeah, there's people that we're an open area, people can come in. So we're doing more and more of that, where the officers are now walking more frequently through the library during the high exam study periods. So we're at tomorrow is the last day of exams. Tomorrow is. So we have exams today and exams tomorrow. And then after that, we don't really see a whole lot of students studying in the library, obviously. So we can slow that down. But as we build up to exams, officers are walking around looking for laptops, backpacks, things like that that are left unattended. We do enforce Highway Traffic Act. Pretty well the only thing we enforce is stop sign violations, safety. That's, the pedestrians here. We have 30,000 people on campus, can have up to 30,000 a day. It's like a very small town. But there's lots of crosswalks. And so we make sure that we have officers at the high peak times, especially in the fall, when we have traffic and people are kind of distracted, they're driving around campus. The officers watch for this, and it's very small. I mean, we hand out way more warnings than we ever do tickets. I mean, we're not here to ticket. We're not here to persecute people. I mean, we want to keep the campus safe. So if we can stop them after they roll through a stop sign and educate them, let's hope that they don't do it again. So, but in some cases, a ticket is preferred. Another increase, it's more so because I don't really know that's why I want to say, because we have more activity on campus, but our trespass, or people that are trespassing that are given our letters. I sign a letter to people saying you're not allowed on our campus for a week or for a month or for a year or for life, depending on what the situation was that they're involved in. Usually people from other schools visiting students here and do something that they shouldn't. We get called to a scene and it's someone who's not from our campus, not a staff, student, or faculty, or a visitor, the hockey rink or anything like that. It's somebody completely outside doing something that they shouldn't. And their behavior at the time and their demeanor with the officers indicates to the officer that perhaps this person shouldn't be given the ability to attend our campus for a week, a month, a year, whatever it is. And so I've been issuing more of those notices. Looks like a 30% increase over the previous year. So, and I do encourage that. We need people to be held accountable for their actions, and there's no fine. It's simply you can't come here based on your activity. So we're just doing that more. The biggest success on this campus, I think, in terms of public safety and in terms of public well-being, has got nothing, well, I shouldn't say nothing to do with me, but it's got very little to do with my office. It's Project Impact, and I know the city has it. This was brought onto our campus by our head nurse, Director Allison Burnett. And as a former police officer, I'd done a number of mental health calls for service. And I wish years ago we had something like Impact, which go to these mental health calls and do the screening, do the work with the patient and make determinations well beyond our capability, meaning our sworn officer capability, and far better for the patient. So we have our impact referrals the year before were at 28, and last year they were at 52, almost doubled. That's great. The message is getting out. They're there. When I say I don't really have much to them, they're right next door to me in the office beside me in my building, and we dispatch them and off they go, and we help them at a scene if they need help. we hang back at a site unless we're needed, which is rare. And they do their job, and the patient gets the care that they need in a sensitive way. And I think it's fabulous. I think it's one of the best things we do here on this campus. And I've seen the effects of not having impact over the years, not here, but in my previous role. And I can't tell you how much of an impact it makes on there you go, ironically, on the people that need that service. So that is pretty well it in a nutshell for me. I guess I can take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Any questions or comments? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for your very insightful report and keeping us up to date with the activities of the Campus Safety Office and continuing the long-standing and very positive relationship between the Guelph Police Service and the university. So thank you very much for that. Thank you. Okay, our next item is the agenda, approval of the agenda. Okay, so can I have a mover and a seconder for approving the agenda? Moved by Mr. Sharma, seconded by Mr. Plate. Next, we need to approve the consent agenda. If anybody wants to move an item out of the consent agenda into discussion, we can do that prior to approving the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda? Moved by Mr. Sharma, seconded by Mr. Plate. Any opposed? Hearing none, I'll declare that item carried. Our next item is on our discussion is the board meeting information. So it's noted in the package that the Community Safe Policing Act is setting out requirements for meetings to be held by their boards and committees, establishing modern approaches premised on public transparency of board meetings. What this means is, in order to ensure compliance with the Act, the format of our meeting is going to be adjusted for 2026. Moving forward, the meetings will begin at 1 o'clock in open, and then we will, and then the board will open and open. The meeting will be called to order, and there will be a resolution to move into closed. And then following the closed, the open meeting will reconvene at 2:30, and the meetings will be held virtually via Teams and live streamed on YouTube. For live streaming on YouTube, there are going to be 2 links that will be provided for each meeting. The first for the opening and covering of the resolution to move into closed, and the second will be the remainder of the open meeting once we reconvene at 2:30. These adjustments will ensure that we are in compliance with the CSPA, while continuing to allow for community to view the meetings in real time. Any questions or comments about that? Okay, hearing none. I do need a motion that the Guelph Police Service approve the meeting dates and format for the 2026 as set out in the report titled 2026 Board Meeting Information, dated December 11th, 2025. Can I please have a mover for that? Moved by Mr. Sharma, seconded by Mr. Plate. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask, is anybody opposed? Hearing none, I'm going to declare that item closed. Okay, next item is the election of a chair and vice chair for the coming year. So we Need a mover and a seconder. So basically I guess we have to have a discussion about the chair and vice chair roles. So the chair of the board has administrative responsibilities for overseeing the work of our executive assistant and liaising with the chief and senior leadership team and being an active participant in all board committees. And the next role would be the vice chair, who basically, in addition to being a member of the board, would be responsible for stepping in and taking on the roles of the chair at times and occasions where the chair is unable to act. So I guess at this point, we need to have nominations for a chair for the coming year. Mayor Guthrie?
Yes, through you, Chair. Are you willing to let your name stand for Chair? And would Ajay be willing to let his name stand for Vice Chair?
I would be very pleased to stand for chair again.
I would be honored to be vice chair as well.
Okay, I'd be happy to nominate and move a motion for you, Peter, to remain as chair and for Ajay to be vice chair into the next year.
Okay. Do we have a seconder for that? Seconded by Councillor Alt. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Declare that item carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, our next item is the Chief's monthly update. Chief Goby, if you can, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just making sure you can hear me.
Perfectly.
Perfect. So we're going to give Staff Sergeant Clark and Guardiero are here to give you a couple updates, but I wanted to start. We've had a lot of discussions in the community in the last 18 months about how we are working very hard to support victims and survivors of human trafficking, intimate partner violence, internet child exploitation. And our goal is truly to set the standard for how we can support our community in relation to these. As you know, the terrible crimes of human trafficking and internet child exploitation are increasing at an alarming rate. And tragically, our youth have become targets of these crimes. I wanted today to specifically recognize and thank Director Mike Glazier and the Wellington Catholic District School Board for their leadership and the incredible partnership we have established as we work together to support our students, schools, and families. Our school safety program has been supporting Wellington Catholic elementary schools for decades, and our high school resource officer program has been continuously supporting our Wellington Catholic high schools for over 20 years. Our service is deeply committed to working collaboratively with our community, and an excellent example of what we can achieve together is demonstrated by our attendance at a recent Wellington Catholic District Professional Development Day. On Friday, November 28th, members of the Guelph Police Service Human Trafficking and Internet Child Exploitation units were invited to spend time with approximately 900 Wellington Catholic District School Board staff members at their Professional Development Day. That was 900. This session included information on the prevalence, signs, and dangers of these crimes. Many in attendance were surprised to learn about the extent of these crimes and that it is well established in your city. We are so grateful for the opportunity to attend and felt it was very important to recognize the leadership, collaboration, and support of Director Glazier and the Wellington Catholic Board. Truly, this is an excellent example of what we can achieve together when we work to support the development and education of our youth and the health and safety of our community. So I wanted to start our meeting with that, Mr. Chair, to make sure you had an opportunity in the community to really get to see kind of how we are committed to working together and the tremendous leadership on the part of Director Glazier and the board. So I'm going to stop there just to see if there's any questions, comments in relation to that. Okay. And what I want to do is follow up now. Staff Sergeant Clark is going to give you a bit, because this is our last meeting of the year, and not only the extent to which we've been discussing these important matters, but also the work that's been achieved in the last 12 months. I wanted to give Mel a chance to give the board an update. So Mel, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chief. And thank you, board. Nice to see everybody again for allowing me to provide you with this update. I'd like to begin just by noting that the outcomes presented today were made possible by the enhanced resources and the ongoing support of you, the board, and council, without which we would not have been able to accomplish even a fraction of what I'm about to report. So just to recap, in January of 2025, the Intimate Partner Violence HT unit grew to consist of a detective sergeant, a high-risk coordinator, and 6 investigators. We really wanted to focus on prevention, education, ensuring high-risk offenders are compliant, and the early intervention for IPV cases, as well as safeguarding our youth. So just some highlights from January to December. So for Intimate Partner Violence, our service, the Guelph Police Service, has had over 1,500 calls related to intimate partner violence. So this unit continues to provide ongoing support to our frontline. We have had just under 100 successful compliance checks for this year, and the unit's goals is to be 100, and I'm sure that they will get there by the end of this year. Specific IPV arrests for this unit has been over 35, and we also seized 4 guns related to IPV investigations. The early intervention program continues to evolve with the help of our community partners. This proactive program allows us to reach members of our community that are dealing with us, the GPS, twice a month for IPV incidents where no charges are laid. This allows us to provide supports in hope that it stops the cycle of intimate partner violence and subsequent calls for service for us. So for human trafficking, I just want to speak to the Statistics Canada 2024 report that just came out in relation to trafficking persons in Canada. So in Guelph, the GPS in 2024, we had a newly formed IPV HT unit, but at that time it consisted of 1 detective sergeant, 1 high-risk coordinator, and 3 investigators that were cross-trained in IPV and human trafficking. Adding the sergeant to this area gave the 2 investigative areas structure with 1 vision and a standard for how human trafficking and IPV will be investigated service-wide. And the unit also had a lot more community referrals because of this established unit. So the Stats Can reported, again, this is for 2024, that Guelph reported 17 human trafficking related incidents, and that this translates to 11 incidents per 100,000 population. So this was reported to be the highest among Canadian CMAs, census metropolitan areas, for that year, which was well above the CMA average of 1.6 and the national rate of 1.5. But StatsCan also reported, and I'm going to quote them right from the report, the high rate in Guelph is attributed to intensified police efforts, new initiatives, specialized teams and partnerships, as well as its proximity to Highway 401, a major trafficking corridor connecting urban centers. So to me, this serves as a clear reflection of the investment made in this area. For 2025, the human trafficking update, our intel analyst continues to track these calls for service. The total human trafficking investigations and investigations that have human trafficking elements to them is over 60. And this number makes it clear that having few human trafficking charges does not indicate the absence of a human trafficking problem. The issue is still very underreported, but because of the resources and the training that we're able to provide service-wide, we're able to capture this information, which may assist in future investigations. Human trafficking related charges, we had 20 this year, with 6 males being charged, 3 from out of province, 2 of which are still in custody awaiting bail hearings. And I just want to mention, we also had 2 human trafficking convictions this year. Now, these are older cases because they're usually in the courts for 3 to 4 years. But for those, they're awaiting sentencing, and the Crown is asking for double-digit sentences, which is great. Just to highlight an investigation, in November, a female was reported missing. Police located ads online, and she was tracked to a hotel in Guelph. Our human trafficking unit was able to get involved immediately, and as a result, 2 males from Quebec were arrested and charged with numerous human trafficking offenses. The female was located safe in the hotel, and we were able to provide her with many resources and supports. Again, very high-level overview of that case, but very successful. And it was because this unit was able to jump in immediately to offer that. We have had direct contact with over 1,500 community members through different community events. Some of those, and I'm just going to touch on some, we have touched many parts of our community, such as our foster parents, different cultural groups, our youth, and many others through educational panels and information sessions. Our human trafficking and ICE presentations have been a part of our spring and fall police citizen academies. We continue to provide ongoing engagement and education to our hotel staff, and this has resulted in noticeably strengthened relationships with them. Our human trafficking awareness video that was created in collaboration with our community partners has had just under 25,000 views. And as the chief had mentioned, we recently presented on human trafficking and online safety to more than 900 Catholic school board staff members on their mandatory professional development day. So again, this collaboration highlights our joint commitment to prevention, and we have received excellent feedback from that. And we will maintain this collaboration with our boards, both boards, recognizing the critical importance of educating our youth and the individuals that support our youth. We continue to sit on the anti-human trafficking table. Again, this focuses on identifying children and youth at risk of being human trafficked, sharing information, collaboration, education, prevention with all of our community partners. And it was actually a conversation at this table that initiated that presentation to the school board. Again, showing the importance of that collaboration. And I just want to quote a member from our community in reference to this team, because they sent this message to them after an investigation. And I'm quoting, "I just want to say how impressed I am with this team. The level of empathy, caring, compassion, intelligence, and intuition showed to me means so much to me. Truly, you have all helped me so much. I felt so lost and really bad about myself with everything. Thank you all. You are serious heroes in my eyes." So I really believe it is the board and council's ongoing commitment and investment that has enabled us to support many victims more effectively, hold our offenders accountable, and really making a lasting difference in our community. So thank you, and pending any questions, that is my update.
Councillor Alt?
First of all, thank you very much, Officer Clark, for the presentation. You made reference to the significantly higher percentage per capita human trafficking cases in the Guelph area. And I'm somewhat relieved by what you stated about Stats Canada, which did not seem to receive the airing within the media that perhaps it should. What I want to take from that, and I wonder if you could comment, is that what Guelph is doing is actually an exemplar for other areas that explains why we essentially have 10 times the number of incidents identified in Guelph, rather than we are the mecca for human trafficking. Is that correct? Is that a correct interpretation?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
And thank you very much for that. Perhaps to Chief Kobe, are we in a position to offer our resources, and that might even include human resources, to other police services that are interested in taking the Guelph approach to addressing this?
I'm actually going to let Mel answer that, because I think we've already had some services, perhaps even larger services, Mel, talk to you about some of the integration work and things.
We have. We are, from what I know, we're the only service that has integrated IPV and HT into one unit, because there's so much crossover with those investigations. So we have had, and I don't want to say the wrong service, but we have had, I know for sure, 2 services reach out to us to see how we have set this up and kind of the route that we're going, because they're so impressed and with our work. So absolutely, we're kind of starting a process here.
And thank you very much. I'm happy to be a good example of what should be done rather than a bad example of an epidemic in human trafficking and intimate partner violence. Thank you again for the report.
Any other questions or comments arising?
I'm going to invite Staff Sergeant Guerriero to come in, but I think just as a follow-up to Councillor Alt's point, we made a commitment that we were going to talk about this, and the conversations and the investments would demonstrate how underreported and how prevalent this is. So to Mel, her team, everybody who has done this work, that is very, very difficult work, but it is incredibly important work. So we just want to say thanks, Mel. Thanks for everything. And with that, Jason, the floor is yours to give an update in relation to investments and work done in relation to internet child exploitation.
Yes, thank you, Chief. And through you, Mr. Chair, thank you for the opportunity to speak on behalf of our ICE team or internet child exploitation. I just want to start by saying, every day young people in our community face online risks. And behind each statistic that I'm going to speak to you briefly about here today, there's a story that shows how our team is working hard to protect children in our community. Now, we've received about 150 tips this year for child exploitation investigations. I'm going to give you a bit of a breakdown of how those tips work. These tips include tips about victim self-exploitation, so scams where people are sending compromised images of themselves through a scam online. And in doing so, we provide safeguarding education to our youth and to the parents about these online risks. To date, we have safeguarded over 40 youths, educating them on internet safety to prevent further exposure. And these are just not numbers, they're real kids and parents who we've educated on internet safety so they can feel safe again and to avoid future harm. These tips also provide information that allow us to execute search warrants that put people before the courts. To date, we have executed more than 10 search warrants in our ICE investigations. And when we execute a search warrant in ICE, it really is the first critical step in our investigation. From there, our team really spends a lot of time examining every seized device, analyzing images and videos, and doing so, they uncover evidence and potential victims of youth through those analyses. Other tips we receive may be just investigative information. So it's not a whole investigation in itself. It's just a piece of information that we can use that maybe we can line it up with another investigation through other information we get. To date, we have arrested 18 people. That has led to 55 charges for child exploitation offenses. We have delivered more than 10 community presentations, including cooperative presentations with Crime Stoppers, one of our community partners. We have also participated in 3 major multi-jurisdictional projects in partnership with the Ontario Provincial Strategy, which is a task force of officers of other child exploitation investigators with other services. So we team up with them. We've created a task force knowing the challenges of the internet and how it really intertwines many different police services. So we've created a task force. And we've been a part of 3 multi-jurisdictional investigations. One of them was a national one that the Guelph Police played an active role in tackling online exploitation across Canada. Lastly, I just want to talk about a notable luring case that we started here in Guelph with one of our detectives working on an online platform. As a result of that investigation, a suspect was identified and believed to be in Alberta. Evidence was collected, information was acquired, and it was sent to officers in Alberta. They're members of their child exploitation unit in Alberta, acted swiftly and executed search warrants at a residence and arrested an adult male for numerous child exploitation offenses that included luring a child. And that would have started all from our detective in our ICE unit. So we participate in many activities, proactive and reactive in our investigations here in our community. But like any ICE investigator, no matter where you are, you're protecting children across the country, and that's what we did here in this case. Other than that, Mr. Chair, I have nothing else to add. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay. Anybody with any questions or comments?
No, I'm going to follow up. Again, thanks, Jason. You and Hugh and everyone else in your unit. And I think as you're getting these updates, we've said this many times before, but there's a very common theme that when you and our community entrusts us with resources, you should expect a return on investment. And I believe this is a very clear example on how our community is seeing a return on that investment that's quite literally supporting the safety of our citizens. With that, I'm going to introduce Andrew for an update in relation to the Crow unit. And Andrew's going to give you some perspective as well. Since we last met in October, Bill 33, Bill 56 have both passed. So that's going to have some ramifications for us that Andrew can touch on. But Andrew, my friend, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chief. And thanks, Board, for the opportunity again to present an update on our downtown operations and some of our community accomplishments for 2025. I'll start with our downtown. Overall, our members have responded to over 19,000 calls for service in our downtown alone through 2025 so far. This includes over 1,000 proactive initiatives completed by our members. That includes special projects, community contacts, and directed patrols. In fact, our downtown alone saw over 550 directed patrols and over 340 community contacts, reflecting our commitment as an organization to visible and proactive policing. As I previously spoken to, the Downtown Public Safety Initiative that started in 2024 and ran through 2025, it resulted in a substantial number of arrests and charges targeting open drug use and associated criminal behavior. Arrests led to the seizure of illegal drugs, weapons, and stolen property. It's an initiative that clearly demonstrates the positive impact it can have on our community when appropriate resources are allocated. Shifting gears, I've spoken about Mark O'Connell and Kim Ketcher in the past. Terrific work that they do in our downtown. They have interacted with hundreds of individuals this year, providing compassionate, immediate support to persons in crisis. Their efforts resulted in many of these individuals being referred to community support services that we have great partnerships with as well. This program, again, exemplifies our commitment to a health-centered collaborative approach to not only public safety, but also ensuring the well-being of the people in our community. Since my last update, I can share that our service is looking forward to a potential opportunity to operationalize the expansion of this program, adding an additional downtown impact worker partnered with an additional officer strictly dedicated to the downtown core. We appreciate having that positive relationship with the CMHA and are very grateful for their support. Our Community Safety Operations Center, to further support our downtown over the last year and now other neighborhoods, our CSOC has significantly expanded its camera access citywide by leveraging existing city infrastructure. In 2025, CSOC managed thousands of calls for service supporting investigations and also directed non-emergency calls to free up time for frontline officers so they can more efficiently address emergency calls for service. CSOC has been recognized province-wide as an innovative policing model, with visits from multiple other police services and formal recognition from the Solicitor General's office, highlighting Guelph as a provincial leader in public safety technology. And to your point, Councillor Alt, this is another example of other services that have looked to us to, how we can lead the way in this particular area. Our community resource officers, they are the heart of our citywide commitment to safety, wellness, and proactive policing. Their work extends to all four corners of Guelph, making a tangible difference in the lives of residents, students, and visitors alike. Our Crows maintain strong partnerships with community organizations, support services, school boards, and local agencies. This collaboration is essential in fostering relationships that contribute positively to the well-being of our city. Regularly, these officers participate in school safety initiatives, join in road safety enforcement and awareness campaigns, participate in wellness checks, outreach and support for vulnerable populations, and they then actively engage in proactive policing initiatives and engagements. This is a great, huge, massive portfolio for a few number of people. The depth of connection our Crows have within the community is remarkable, whether they're downtown, at a school, on the road, or at a neighborhood event. These officers are building trust and relationships that are incredibly valuable. Looking ahead into 2026, our organization is committed to the continued growth of our Crow program. In partnership with our community, we look forward to building a robust cross-functional team that will further support community services, our schools, and community partners, ultimately enhancing safety and well-being across Guelph. And this expansion is needed. To continue with this level of service and to meet the requirements that come from legislation such as Bill 33 and 56, we need to ensure that these units are sufficiently supported with staff. Much of the great work that is being done by a few. And as our community continues to grow, units such as Crow will continue to see an ever-increasing demand for their services. 2025 has been a year of innovation, partnership, and measurable progress for the Guelph Police Service. The expansion of our CSOC, the growth of our camera network, and the deepening of our partnership with local community organizations through our Crow resources all reflect the commitment of the Guelph Police to leading-edge, community-focused policing. And pending any questions, sir, that would be my update.
Councillor Alt.
Thank you. It seems to be my day to ask questions or pass comment. I was speaking to a gentleman last night downtown who was homeless, and I want to pass the compliment and comment on. This fellow is clearly somebody who lives in distress. He was quite a passive, kind person who spoke very, very highly of Guelph Police Services and the support that is being offered to him, despite the fact that he does live roughly or outdoors, as most people would state it. I was wondering if it's possible for you, A, to pass that on to our community resource officers, and B, if there are any comments that you wish to make about the interaction of those officers with the homeless and those who are in crisis. I would love to hear more.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for the compliment, and I would be happy to pass that along. I know that's the type of information that guides their response, and you know, it drives their passion for what they do. And I think the example you provided, sir, is an example of the interactions that our members of our downtown team and our Crow team have on a daily basis. And I'm appreciative that someone from the community brought it forward to your attention.
Now, the tough questions come up, and I think they're perhaps for Chief Kobe, but whoever answers them is fine by me. The advent of the school safety officers causes me some concern, not because of the program, but because as the nominal chair of finances, I see this as being having a potential impact on future budgets. I understand right now that we've absorbed that through the community officer program, but Chief Kobe, I'm wondering if there's anything that you wish to remark this side of we presenting to City Council our budget request for 2026 that might have an impact on future budgets.
Sure, I'll take this one, Andrew. Well, Councillor Alt, I could speak for quite some time, as you know, on this, but I think the best way to describe this, Bill 33 and Bill 56, as well as the additional requirements for our court security obligations, that will essentially consume all of our planned FTE catch-up for 2026. So if you recall, we've had a great deal of discussion about our KPMG review and our multi-year FTE catch-up. We had always said we will be in 2027 where we should have been in 2023 because we had phased in the FTE catch-up in the interest of affordability. Now that we're essentially taking the it's a very significant issue. I think it's important. We very appropriately talk about the cost of investments, but we can never forget the cost of not investing. And I think all the work you've seen of whether we've done in HT and intimate partner violence, think of had those investments not been made. So, but also be mindful of delaying the FTE catch-up in 2026 by yet another year. That will delay very needed investments in our fraud unit that, like, we have many of our community, often disproportionately our seniors who are being targeted by frauds. Our traffic unit, as we look to Bill 56, you name a unit, there's more than enough. Our Crow unit, the downtown gets a lot of care, but we're not able to give that care to other neighborhoods. So I just always want us to be mindful of the costs of delaying catch-up investments, because we're now going to be in 2028 and not 27, where we should have been in 2023. And I'll stop there, Councillor, because you know I could talk for a long time on this.
identified as being in the downtown core had 19,000 contacts last year, and that strikes me as a high number. And therefore, I am wondering, proportionate to other areas of the city, is there disproportionate policing, safety, and security occurring that I should be mindful of as a member of the police board and as the chair of finance?
I would say, and that I don't think it's probably 1,900, but Andrew, you want to just make sure we're talking about the right number?
It was
Okay,
19,000 total calls for service in our downtown to date. So that would include a variety of different things across the board, not just our downtown officers.
Okay.
But now with your question,
I
is
am
that
very concerned, not because I don't think that emphasis should be on the downtown, but on the other areas that the chief made mention of. What about other areas of the community?
I would say I would say all of our other neighborhoods would love to have the same level of care that we're providing our downtown. The reality is that's where as we've delayed FTE catch up in the interest of affordability, we just keep delaying that ability to reach out that care and support to other neighborhoods like the downtown. Like, we're doing our best, and our frontline folks, our platoon folks. But as we delay that ability.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. These are certainly issues that will need to be discussed further in the future, and with a focus on both budget and human resource allocation. Thank you very much, Officer Goody, and thank you, Chief Kobe.
And if I can just put a final distillation on that discussion, Councillor Alt, we always have to be mindful of the cost of investments, but we can't lose sight of the cost of not investing. And the update Mel just gave and Jason just gave is the perfect example of why these are real people, real crimes, real victims, that they deserve support.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Nope. Hearing none.
I've got a couple more here, Mr. Chair. I'm almost done.
Sure.
With my update. It has been a busy few months, actually even just a busy few weeks since our last meeting. I wanted to thank our members for their participation. We've attended to numerous events, including Light the Way Walk with Guelph Women in Crisis, our Special Olympics night at the Storm, numerous other engagement programs. We had the privilege of attending the Serving with Pride Gala, co-hosted by the Waterloo Regional Police. And we look forward to continuing this community engagement. I wanted to give the board some insight. So we recently, our Cops and Kids campaign, our support for the Children's Foundation this year, we supported 20 families. And to give you some idea, since inception in 2004, our members have contributed over $200,000 to support this very, very important community organization. And then obviously last weekend, our 14th annual EMS food drive with our fire and EMS partners. It really is, our members provide an awful lot of support over and above their, like what the community sees them do each day. And finally, we just launched our new website, and I think the community will have noticed a media release today. Part of that new website will be a community watch page where our community can essentially provide video or audio feeds to us as we work together to keep our community safe. And we wanted to thank our Crime Stoppers partners for their recent retail video theft that we worked together to produce with them. And with that, barring any questions, that is the extent of my report.
Okay, do I hear any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll thank you very much, Chief. Next item is new business. Do we have any new business? Hearing none, I'll declare that item closed. I'd just like to let everybody know that our next open meeting is going to be occurring on Thursday, January 22nd, 2026 at 1 p.m. via Teams and live streamed on YouTube. And next, I guess we need next item is adjournment. So Need a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Alt, seconded by Vice Chair Sharma. All in favor? Any opposed? Declare that carried. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. Have a very happy and happy and safe holidays to everybody. Thank you. See you.